everyone, my name's Pippa and I'm 51 years old and I fractured my left clavicle 6 weeks ago and I'm now 5 weeks post-op. I wanted to make this video to try and help anyone else that's out there who's a normal person and not a fit athlete, to try and get over this horrendous, what has been for me, horrendous accident. When I looked on YouTube, all there seemed to be was videos of fit young American men who were back on their bikes within 3 or 4 weeks, and it was really quite difficult for me to watch because I've just not felt like that at all, even though I was fit and healthy before, and I did my accident actually playing a sport, but I found my recovery has been really slow and very frustrating. So I wanted to help those normal people out there that aren't fit athletes, and maybe get a reality check about just how hard and just how slow it can be to recover. So 6 weeks ago, as I said, I fractured this collarbone, my left one. Went to A&E, x-rays. I'll show you the x-ray if I can. And I'd actually broken it into 3 pieces, which was pretty horrible. And it looked, if you can see that, like that. When I arrived, I was in a lot of pain. I was actually brought in by ambulance, and they x-rayed and actually sent me home, even though I had a bone sticking out of me, which I'll try and show you. That's what my shoulder looked like. It was very scary, and being sent home with a lot of pain, being told I had to come back and see an orthopaedic doctor the following week. They put me in a collar and cuff sling, which I've now heard is not a good sling to be put into, and sent home until I saw the doctor a couple of days later, who gave me a choice whether to operate or not. But really, when I saw the consultant 2 days later after that, they said yes, let's operate. And the first week, I can honestly say I was in so much pain. Painkillers just didn't do it at all. I didn't want to take really strong painkillers because I was so scared of falling or hurting myself again. So I did stick to ibuprofen and paracetamol. But it was a really difficult week. You need help. First tip, you need help. And if anyone hasn't got help, then it is such a problem. I was very lucky that my daughter was around to help me, but it's very difficult to mobilise, it's very painful to get around, and things like showering is really difficult. And be prepared for little things like having a really sore armpit because you can't move your arm. So if you can get a shower once a day and try and dry your armpit. I actually used a hairdryer on mine to get it dry, and then I put Sudocreme underneath my armpit every day, and that really helped with the rash that was forming under my left armpit. So be ready for some nasty little surprises like that. The pain, as I said, was unbearable, and I couldn't wait to have the operation, which was a week later, six days later, my operation. And they put pins and plates in mine, and I'll see if I can show you what they did. So that was my shoulder post-op, quite a standard titanium fixation of my left clavicle. I was lucky because they gave me a nerve block the first few hours, so after the operation I was pretty pain-free, but when it wore off it was really painful. My best advice is to sleep on your back. You can't really do anything else anyway, so just sleep on your back, and then as the weeks go by you can gradually reduce your pillows and get lower and lower. But it is very difficult to get in an upright position from your bed from lying down when you're quite flat. In hospital it was easy because I had a bed that tipped me up and down, and I was actually in hospital for 2 days because of my pain control. But when you get home it is really hard to get up. Obviously if you've got help that's fantastic, but not everyone's got help. That's sleeping. You have to wear a sling, and it seems like in America you have to wear a sling for less time, but here you usually wear a sling for at least 4 to 6 weeks. I saw the consultant 4 weeks later post-op, and he said you've got to wear the sling for another 2 weeks and you can't move your shoulder joint at all, really, which has been really hard because everything seizes up and your back hurts and your muscles hurt all the way round, and you're arm starts, sort of the muscles start disappearing in your arm, and the scapula around here, you know, the muscle around here, you get muscle wasting really quickly, so just be aware. But the physio has reassured me that it does come back quite quickly once you get moving, which I haven't been able to yet. Hopefully this week I'll be able to start moving my shoulder a bit better. Food, my best advice for you is to eat super healthy. Look up all the foods that help bone healing. Don't smoke at all. Minimum alcohol if you can. I've had the odd glass of wine for medicinal purposes, otherwise I would have gone mad. Old glass of red wine. But I've tried to eat really, really healthily. Lots of green leafy veg, yogurts, a bit of milk. I've taken a calcium supplement because I'm not mad on milk. I've also taken multivitamin and vitamin C and zinc personally. Get lots of sunlight, fresh air if you can. Got some outside space to sit out in. Get out there in the sunshine because it's obviously you get vitamin D, which helps bone healing as well. And just eat as sensibly and as healthily as you possibly can. Don't eat too much sugar and unhealthy foods. That will help your recovery, I've read anyway. Physio, I started physio straight away, and the sort of exercises you can do while you're in the sling are things like just bringing your arm up, so you're just exercising your elbow, and a few exercises, so pushing and pulling against your hand to strengthen your arm muscles, and pulling and pushing here as well was one of them, plus neck exercises. So I was asked to turn my head from side to side, up and down, and left and right as well. So those are really good and shouldn't hurt you too much. So keep up with your physio and do everything they ask you to do, is my advice. The other thing I wanted to mention is your mental health. I've been off work. I went from an extremely active person, cycling, walking, spinning, going to the gym, Zumba twice a week, etc., to nothing. So be prepared for it to hit you badly. Plus work. I was working as well, so it was obviously really hard to not be at work. So you will feel low. Just be really ready for this. Try and keep your mind a bit active. Try and read, do things, have a bit of a routine. I'm actually going to buy an online learning course while I'm getting better to try and keep my brain stimulated. But it is extremely frustrating, and you will have days where you just think, I don't feel any better than yesterday, want any better. That's how I felt. I thought the recovery every day you'd be better, but for me it hasn't been like that. It's been one day quite good and another day really, really bad, and then 2 days good and then 2 days bad. That's how it's been for me. Walking has been quite difficult. Even though I was an active walker, I find my other arm naturally goes to my shoulder, which is sort of putting this shoulder under a lot of strain as well. But that's the only way I seem to be able to walk, which is really strange. I'm very nervous about going out because I'm worried about people knocking into me, so I've lost my confidence. I guess that will come back slowly as I feel a bit more in control of everything. I've got a sick note for another month. I'm 6 weeks now, still got another sick note for another month. But I can't see I'm going to be able to drive in the next 3 or 4 weeks at all. I'm seeing the physio this week to hopefully get my shoulder moving, which will be really good. But I'm also very frightened of getting it moving, and you will feel a lot of fear around this. In terms of my wound, you start off with quite a big dressing. As you can see my wound, it's healing really well. And then you'll have steri strips. I'll take dressing down. You'll have quite a lot of steri strips on there. I just left mine. I didn't know what to do. There wasn't really any instruction as to what to do with the steri strips, so I left them until they were about 3 weeks, and then I got them damp and wet, and I just peeled them off myself very carefully. But really, really be careful when you peel them off, because if the nurse doesn't do it, then you can actually bleed a little bit. So just make sure everything is really damp and down and everything before you do that. But I did find once the steri strips were off, the wound, although it looked quite raw and horrible to start with, it did start healing up much better. For me, I'm quite thin, so if you look at my other clavicle, I've only got a thin layer of skin over that, and when you've got a lot of metal work in, you can see it and it rubs a bit. under the skin, so that's another thing to contend with. My consultant has said that he'll be taking the metalwork out within a year, which I welcome, because I don't really want this in because I can feel it. Plus, it's kind of stretching my skin here. I never had this old lady neck before, but I seem to have developed this old lady neck, so I guess that's just where they've stretched the skin for the operation. But I just want to get well. Vanity has gone out the window for me. I just want to get well now. What else can I tell you? Look after yourself, be kind to yourself, listen to your body. It makes you reevaluate yourself and think about who you are and your resilience, and your thresholds. It does make you think, gives you time to think about where your life's going as well, so that's a positive thing. But I would not wish this on anyone, and if you're out there and you've done the same as me, I truly wish you the best of luck, and I hope you recover well. I'm finding it very slow, but trying to keep as positive as I can. Thanks for listening, and I hope this has helped a little bit.